All right, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started here. Thank you so much for joining us for the Remote Resources webinar. Before we begin, I want to just cover a couple things. You are all muted right now. If you have any questions, feel free to put them into the Q&A pane. You can find that at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to send in any questions or comments that you have throughout the presentation. We'd love to hear from you. And also, we will send the slides out after this presentation, so don't feel like you need to write down a bunch of notes or anything. We will send them out right after this afternoon. So our speakers today, my name is Bridget Fricke, and I am the Operations Manager at Acadia. So I will be speaking throughout the presentation, and also, as you know from the invitation, Marge Murphy, the President, will also be speaking. She has lots of experience throughout her years at Acadia with remote employees, so she is a great person to present on this topic. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Marge to get us started.
Thanks so much, Bridget. Hey, I really appreciate everybody joining today. And just a little bit of background. When I started Acadia a little over 20 years ago, I actually started a virtual company. At that time, Acadia really was comprised of quite a few stay-at-home parents, and having small children of my own, I wanted to give the folks that worked for us the ability to work from home as well if they were taking care of children or elder parents, and we set it up as a virtual organization. We do have a brick and mortar office in downtown Dayton now, but we've always maintained that remote environment so that our employees could have flexibility to work from home when needed. So we've spent a lot of time talking about remote working over the past 20 years, and do want to share where we are today. And you know, we started out a long time ago and we had a lot of different tools available and not as many tools available to us. But today we have tools. We have learned how to manage remote employees and learned how to manage clients that we have across the United States and be able to stay in touch and stay relevant. So we're going to step through some things today, and I certainly hope that these are going to help you. Before we get going though, let's just throw out a quick poll and find out from you guys if remote work is new to you since COVID-19, or if this is something that you have been doing previous to this crazy world we're living in today.
You can feel free to put those answers right into the chat pane if this is new to you or if this is something you've been dealing with.
All right, so it looks like we have a bit of a mix, so this is great. We're going to learn some new things today and maybe talk about some tools that you're currently using. So thinking about the tools that we're using, there are a couple of different things that we have to consider. There are collaboration tools, there are communication tools, which can be one and the same, sometimes different. We can also think about project management, sales and marketing tools, all of the foundations that we really use on a day-to-day business within our organization. So we're going to start today with communication and collaboration tools. So we kind of kick it off with how do we get together, how do we work together, and what makes the most sense for us. So right now we're on a Zoom meeting. So this is a tool that we've been using for a couple of years, and clearly this has really risen to the top in the past several weeks. There are so many people using Zoom for family conferences and for work conferences as well. All of the tools that we are showing to you today do have free versions. And then, of course, if you want more flexibility or more options, you can move into some of the paid versions. Skype has been around for a very long time. It is now part of the Microsoft suite, and there are free versions of Skype. There is also something called Skype for Business, which is incorporated into the Microsoft 365 suite. And really, Skype is just used for again, visual communications, and also using IM, which I find is really helpful when we can communicate quickly and effectively with our team, and I'll explain that in a little bit further down. Uber Conference, another great tool you can use. We use that prior to Zoom, so video conferencing is great with Uber Conference. It's very easy for other people to use as well when you invite them to it, and again, free versions of this. Google Hangouts is not something I am extremely familiar with. I've taken part of it, but it's not something that we use every day here at Acadia. But again, very similar to Zoom, very similar to Skype. And a lot of people do use the G Suite, so that works out very nice for them because you've got your Google Docs, you've got everything going, and you can just present it all through Hangouts. And of course, FaceTime, another opportunity for people to be able to communicate quickly, effectively, and with very little cost. So these are all tools, with the exception of Google Hangouts, that we have used at one point in time here at Acadia, and we really have found them to be very useful. Now, one of the things that we find with remote working, communication is absolutely key. It's extremely important that people can get to you quickly, and sometimes inboxes can get very crowded with all kinds of communication. So if a colleague needs a quick answer, we really find that using these tools and being able to communicate quickly is really an effective way of getting answers and getting people quickly what they need. Now, the other tools that we're going to take a look at now are the, again, continued communication and collaboration tools, but these get a little bit more detailed. So we use Streams here at Acadia, and that is part of our phone system, and that enables us to, again, have audio and streaming, instant messaging, what have you, within the teams on a quick basis. But with this team, with Streams, we can also set up teams, and we're able to have a group for marketing, for sales, and we can communicate out to a group of people and set up little sub-networks and sub-teams, which is really, really helpful when we're talking about projects and what have you. The G Suite, again, allows you to do all of that as well. You've got a tremendous amount of tools in there. You can have files, documents, shared drives, shared collaboration within documents, which is really important. And again, you're not then taking down documents, trying to update them, but you're doing it all in a seamless virtual environment. In addition to that, we use the Office Suite, which again, very similar to the G Suite, provides with us a variety of ways that we can be working on documents at the same time and communicating, taking notes, and even streaming with one another, and audio streaming and video streaming as well. And last but not least, there is Slack. And Slack is a great tool. A lot of our customers use Slack, and a lot of our partners use Slack. And that really is a great communication tool for keeping a group communicating together. So with one of our partners, our HubSpot partner, they have several Slack channels where partners can get together and have discussions talking about certain topics. We can get to our partner resources through the Slack channel. So that again is a really great tool for universal conversation. If you have a group of people that may not be sitting in the same organization and you want to have one topic and continue conversing about that topic. Kind of like Twitter in a little way. It's a really cool tool to use. And again, all of these do have free versions to some extent, and are very, very quick and intuitive to use. Got a couple of screenshots for some of them as well, just to give you a feel for what they look like. So this is what our Streams looks like. So you can tell we can message with one another, we can call one another, and we also have the ability to do a video with one another. And again, we have different teams set up. We have our colleagues team, we've got sales and marketing, so it's just a really easy way. And again, this is a free tool that can be used. There's also some file organization in there as well. This is just a quick screenshot of Slack, and this happens to be the HubSpot Slack that we use. So we were having a discussion the other day with regards to 10 tactics to drive business. And one of the partners put a document up, we all went in, we were communicating with one another. And it's just great to have that kind of mind share, very, very easy to get to, very great way to communicate. The next screenshot that I put up is what Teams looks like. So this is Microsoft Teams. We have really embraced this tremendously. It gives us the ability again to connect our calendars since we are a Microsoft Foundation. We can connect our calendars, we can connect our Zoom meetings through this. Again, the ability to have a quick visual with one another, share screens, organize files, and what have you. So Microsoft Teams, again, is embedded in 365. They do have light versions of this, but again, if you have the full suite, this is available to you. And I think a lot of people haven't realized that Microsoft has done a lot of updates to their suite recently to provide all of these integrated tools to make it seamless when you're setting meetings and communicating. So I think that is it with regards to what I had with regards to screenshots and what have you. But again, remote means communication has to be consistent. It has to be clear. And we have found over the years that it is extremely important to just reach out to people and see how they're doing. Especially, I have to laugh, we just onboarded somebody new right before we had to go to remote. So it was really important for us to make sure that Lauren was being trained properly because she wasn't in the office with us. And through all of these tools, we have really been able to help her get up to speed pretty quickly in a short amount of time. So we really do, on a daily basis, have accountability sessions. We communicate expectations. You know, heck, we would talk around the coffee pot in the kitchen when we were all in the office, but now that we aren't, we are having a daily team video check-in to start the day at 8 o'clock. We do a Zoom meeting. We keep it to 15 minutes. Just a quick check-in. What is everybody doing? Does anyone need any help? How are things going with them? We do schedule one-on-ones with team members and just make sure that everybody's okay. Let them talk about it. These are unusual circumstances. Everybody being, you know, so cut off from social activities and what have you. It's important that we keep in touch, not only with our employees, but with our clients as well. And all of these tools have given us the ability to see one another, which is so important, see where we're working from, and just check in, make sure everybody's doing well. One of the keys that I think I've learned over the years is everybody in the organization has very different ways of communicating, and being able to understand how folks like to communicate. Some people are better in the chat pane, other people want to have that visual. Again, some people like to communicate through Slack and others like streams. Find out how your group and your team likes to communicate on a one-on-one basis, or as much as you can. Any of the management that you have within your organization should really understand their teams. And we've done disc profiles over the years, and we've done all kinds of fun things that really have enabled us to know who our folks are and how they best communicate. And then we use those platforms that meet with their criteria. You've got to meet people where they live nowadays. So it's been fun. It's been an experiment in some ways for some of the new people to Acadia, and for others, working remote is just same old, same old. Next up, we're going to be talking about some other program management platforms that I think you're going to find interesting. But before we head to that, we'd like to find out if you guys are using communication tools and what tools you're using. So if you are using some, if you could just put what those tools are in the chat pane, we can offer some other suggestions to the other folks on the webinar as well. Hey, you can use FaceTime on your cell phone.
Yeah, we got Zoom, Hangouts, cell phone, Google Meetings, other free conference call, which is a paid service.
I forgot about that. Free conference call was one of the first ones that we used. Yeah.
Zoom, WebEx, GoToMeeting, Google Chat.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, all of these WebEx Teams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, guys, as crazy as this is right now, technology has enabled us to, from a business perspective, and I know so many businesses are struggling, and you know, we all are in some way or another right now. But without the technology that we have, I mean, think about it, our world really would have come to a grinding halt. So we have to be thankful for the fact that we have all of this technology, and some of us are just starting to embrace it, and some of us have for a while, but it's just changed the way I think we look at one another. We look at how we go to sales and how we communicate effectively with everybody every single day. It's just amazing. I think we're living in a really fun time in some ways, even though it's a little bit painful right now, we will get through it. So Bridget, I'm going to toss it over to you because you have been a very integral part of evolving our project management system. We had one to start with, and we've kind of stepped into a new one the past year. So I'm going to kick it over to you, and maybe you can explain some of that.
Thanks, Marge. Sure. So yeah, as Marge said, we have just adapted our project management systems over about the last year. So before that, we were in Zoho, which you can see here on the screen, which is a great tool for a while for Acadia, but we just found that we outgrew the tool and we just needed some more capabilities in what we were using. So we moved into Wrike, which is our current system. And that has been really beneficial. And I will show you some screenshots of that here in a moment of the capabilities of that and what flexibility that's added to us. If you're not using anything right now for your project management, some of these tools are a great place to start. And even if you're not managing large projects or anything like that, it's a great way to just keep track of your to-dos. So you're not writing paper notes all the time or Post-its and losing things. So a lot of these have great features like that. Trello, for one, is great for sticky note kind of people that like to keep those notes. It gives you the capability to do a board view and shift your notes into different priority buckets. Asana allows you to do a lot of Gantt charting, and Wrike and Zoho have a lot of those capabilities as well. So if you don't have something and you found that remote working has made it a little bit harder to keep track of things or communicate with your team members, I'd suggest looking into something like this too. It takes out some of those emails and phone calls that you might not want to have all the time and puts it into a place where people can see it all in one central location. So here, I'm going to show a few screenshots of Wrike. So this is a sample Gantt chart of one that we use. This is actually a template, so we clone this and use this for our clients. This is the template that allows us to do 24 blogs a year. So we do one every 2 weeks with most of our clients. So this allows us to see the blog, all the subset steps that take place underneath that. You can see here, we write the blog, we send it to the client, all those steps. We can see who's assigned to it, the status, how long it's going to take them, due dates, and all those great things. You can also see dependency arrows. So it really just gives you a great overall view of the project and the status and if the project's healthy and where it should be at any point in time. We dig down a little bit deeper. You can see task views. So this is that same blog task that we were looking at. You can see blog writing, sending a client, the same steps we saw before, but just in a different view. This is where you can really collaborate with people inside your organization, where I can tag Marge and ask for status updates, or whomever's assigned to the task. I can put in my notes, you can attach documents. So it really just gives you great flexibility, again, to remove some meetings from your calendar and keep the communication within your tool where you're already doing the work. And also allows you to make custom dashboards. So you can see here my dashboards. I like to keep my priority things in order of, okay, these are overdue. I really need to make sure that I'm pushing these forward. Why are they overdue? Am I waiting on somebody? What's holding me up? What I have to do this week. And then anything start or important that I want to keep in my view at any given point. And there's tons and tons of ways that you can customize these dashboards. These are just a few. So a couple other things we've learned as one, we've launched Wrike into our company, and as well as things that we've learned throughout this time while we've moved everybody remote. We did have a few remote team members before all of this happened, but we've really all gotten a clear view of what those team members go through now that we're all experiencing it as well. And I think it really has improved our communication as a team. Really has made us cognizant to make sure that we're really clearly defining our tasks and projects so that everyone understands what you're really asking for if you create a task for them to complete. Not everybody is involved in every conversation anymore like they might have been when we were talking about it throughout the office or turning around and having a conversation with the person behind us. So we really have to make sure that we're putting in detailed notes so everyone gets up to speed quickly and understands what the tasks are. And assigning a person to that and a due date. A due date is really important. It helps with your transparency on these tasks. If you don't assign a due date, a lot of times things will just get pushed to the side or won't get done. So if it really is a priority item or you do have a date that you need it due by, that is something that's really important to make sure you have. And then just making sure to check in and communicate with your teams Marge mentioned this earlier, that we've been having daily check-ins with our whole team. And I've also been meeting with other people that I work with more frequently than that, so we can make sure projects are moving forward, and just making sure that everybody is clear on their status and their projects that they're working on. So with that, we're going to do another poll. Are any of you using a project management software, anything like this that helps you manage your tasks or your workload? And if you are, go ahead and put them in the chat pane.
I'm just going to add in while folks are responding that this was one area that I got several calls on when people started going remote, because a lot of colleagues know that we've been, had a remote workforce for several years. And project management was one area that really people didn't think too much about, because everybody was used to just being in the same office. And it was an area that was very, very fuzzy. And it really kind of illustrated when people went remote, oh my gosh, I really don't know the status of these things and where are they? So I think it's a really important piece of software to consider at this point in time.
Mm-hmm. It looks like we have a couple people that don't have anything formal yet. Formerly used Teamwork, done some Excel, CRMs using, not project management, using CRMs.
Right.
Which is actually perfect, because I think that's what we're about to head into right now.
Yeah, which is funny, because I was going to do a whole section on you can use a CRM for project management. And then I said, oh, maybe I don't want to muddy the waters. But yeah, CRMs actually can help you do some project management depending on how you set them up. They most definitely can. So yes, next thing we're going to step into is sales and marketing softwares. And oh, are there not a bevy of sales and marketing softwares up there, but many of them have free versions. And at this point in time, it's just so important to get your sales organized, especially as we're going in different directions. And salespeople are often out on the road anyway. They're not the type of people who are sitting behind their desk, but now even more than that, the C-suite, the directors, the managers, they're wanting to see reports on a frequent basis. They want to know that activity is maintaining during this downturn. We've gotten a lot of questions about CRMs the past 2 to 3 weeks. So we'll talk about quite a few. HubSpot is one that we use. We love it, and we adopted it, just about 3 years ago. We switched from a system that was very similar to Salesforce, and we just found HubSpot to be very visual, very easy to use. Also has a marketing automation component, which we actually were using before the CRM for marketing automation, but they have a free version of everything. Their CRM free version is extremely beefy, and you can stay free for a very long time on that. You have the ability to customize with the free version. There's quite a bit you can do. So that's I have to say, probably my favorite. But again, we use it. I'm a little bit jaded because we like it. Salesforce and their marketing automation partner, Pardot, is a tool that we've worked in with many of our clients. Salesforce can do a lot. It's a tremendous system. If you're just stepping into a CRM, it's probably more than you need, but it is a very, very good tool and has been around for a long time. Clearly, they wouldn't be the king of the industry if they weren't a good tool. So again, very great tool to use. I don't know if they have a free version, but I do know that they have a free trial, so you could try it and get your feet wet if interested in Salesforce. And then they have some low-cost options as well. Marketo is a marketing automation tool that we've used a little bit from time to time. Marketo, I do believe, has a free version as well, but again, it's strictly a marketing automation tool, not necessarily a CRM, but it's pretty widely used, so I did want to bring that up as well. And Zoho, that's another one that we're actually working in that with a client right now. Zoho is very easy to get started and to use, and again, has a free version. Zoho, very much like Salesforce, took the attitude of, we're going to create a CRM, we're going to create a platform, and then we're going to add modules on. So the platform is actually called Zoho One, and you can add Zoho Books and Zoho Project Management and Zoho Analytics. And they've built out a bevy of apps that will attach to the CRM that will give you a lot of power. So if you're looking to kind of build on that way, it's a great platform to use. Again, not expensive at all. The free version is very good. And then as you get into the paid versions, it's not crazy expensive. And Fresh Sales, I believe, is free forever. I think that is an absolute free tool that's available. And they do have paid versions, but you can use that free for quite a while as well. So the idea here with all of these tools, and it's something that's near and dear to my heart, when you think about your client-facing teams, you have marketing, you have sales, you have customer service. All of those folks are touching your client in some form or fashion. And if you've got them all on one platform where you can see what marketing did to engage them, what sales did to help them become a new client, and what is the customer service folks doing to continue to keep them engaged and help them become wonderful promoters of your business and services. That is the grand scheme. If you could get them all on the platform, making sure that the history of that client from soup to nuts is being maintained in the CRM and the marketing automation tool, you've got a wonderful process in place. And again, the whole idea is making sure you know what has happened with those clients from the day they came through the website to the point where they are now engaged and referring you to other wonderful clients. So think about that organization. It's quite a bit, but it starts with the CRM, and it really, really, really needs to be put in place. Had a great conversation earlier this week with somebody who's still working from spreadsheets, and he said it's really becoming difficult. He's got 10 salespeople at this point and just looking to get something in place. And we spoke quite a bit about HubSpot, and it's just, we have to do it now. We can't work from those spreadsheets and really understand what activity is going on. And I think now more than ever, that's coming to the forefront of everyone's mind. So I've got a couple of screenshots here that I'll just take you through. And this is with any CRM. I happen to have HubSpot screenshots here. But in any CRM, you want to be able to quickly see, and you can see on the left side of the screen here, we've got this fellow's name. He's manufacturing engineer. In the middle pane, we see all of the activities, any notes, emails, calls, or tasks associated with that contact. And on the right side, we have information about the company, if there were any deals that we had with that organization, if there were any tickets, meaning customer service tickets, hey, something's wrong, you need to help me fix this, any kind of attachments, all of that information readily available right from this screen. So if you're a salesperson and you're looking to get all of the information from tickets to sales to, when was the last time we sent them a marketing email? It's all there, very easy to see. Again, you want to be able to customize any fields that you need. If you have territories, if you have industries that you're looking to make sure that you're capturing, all of that information should be available in any of the CRMs that I've spoken about today. The next screen I'm going to show you is something that is extremely important when it comes to taking a look at activity. Again, people are sitting remotely. Maybe we have 3 or 4 inside salespeople and we're trying to track, are they doing what they're supposed to be doing? Okay, so are we sending out emails? Are we calling? Hey, calling is actually more effective right now than emailing because people's email boxes are getting ridiculous. So we're finding that maybe we have to switch to a different tactic. So you can see who's having the best results, what they're doing to get those results, and then share that with the rest of the team. So this type of dashboarding is very important, and again, really should be very easy in any one of the tools that I mentioned earlier. Another thing that we would take a look at is activities and tasks. And this is where I kind of touch a little bit on project management through a CRM, because CRMs are very task-oriented on following up. You can actually use the tasks in your CRM to help you manage not only sales pipeline and sales activities, but you could really use it for project management in a very simplistic way. So tasks and overdue tasks and what have you can be studied as well. These are just a few of the screenshots that I pulled out of the HubSpot tool, but there are many, many more. And again, very interesting. Each one of them does a very good job of giving you custom reports, but also right out of the can reports. This is another one quickly that helps us analyze our pipeline, where are deals coming in and how are they converting. And it's a really interesting way to take a look at how sales convert from, again, very top of the funnel to very bottom of the funnel. And again, this type of report is available in all of these tools. So CRMs are something that I've been working with for so many years, and I am so passionate about helping organizations to really get their sales and marketing organized and really optimize everything that they're doing and create a seamless, frictionless journey for the buyers that are looking to become your clients. So again, it's important to choose one that fits your need. Do not get anything too complicated. Look at something that you can grow into. It really is, you know, most CRMs right now, you can start out very, very simply and then add on as you grow and need more complexity. Train your team how to use it, make sure there are rules in place, use the automation. So if you have follow-ups to do, you don't end up with 57 follow-ups next Tuesday. You've got some workflows in there and you're sending out emails and maybe just calling a few of them that are really your priorities. Collaborate, use the tool to collaborate with your internal team as much as you use to collaborate with the clients that you're engaging, and use the data. The reporting really can help you guide what you're doing right, what you're not doing right, and help get your sales and marketing and customer service teams aligned. So that's it about CRM. So as we move along, what are you guys using right now for sales and marketing software? And if you're using something, again, specific, if you could just put that in the chat pane, that would be fantastic. And if you have any questions, throw those in the chat pane as well.
It looks like Bill gave us confirmation, Salesforce, no free option, just the free trial. They offer free version for 501c3 charities. So
Thank you.
We have Salesforce, Excel spreadsheet, but that's one person operation. So.
Mm-hmm. I think I saw one that said less annoying CRM. Is that the name of the CRM?
Yeah, it looks like that might be the
name of it. That's really cool. I like that. Boy, that acronym CRM, that sends people screaming. They're like, no. You know, one of the things that I like to share too, and it could be done in any department, but when you bring in a software, and whether it be your project management software, your CRM software, your communication software, somebody has to own that. There has to be a champion within the organization that really does understand how to use it and can help and train others. And in larger organizations, what we've done is help them set up what we call a center of excellence, specifically for Salesforce and part of that. With one client, they had their marketing team, their sales team, and they weren't collaborating very well. And we set up a center of excellence where once a week, this team would get together, they'd be discussing the tool, if there were any technical issues that were going on, and then really defining how they were each using the tools, the marketing tool and the sales tool. And through that collaboration, they really began to streamline how they were working together. They were getting training documents together, putting process documents together. So if you are with a larger organization and you feel that you have a tool that's just not being embraced, consider putting a center of excellence together, and you get one or two people, and then you bring in subject matter experts and really then launch your findings out to the teams, help them understand how to use them better and how it can help them, because most of the time softwares are not embraced because the users are not seeing the benefit to them. So really providing and teaching the benefits to the team can really reap many rewards. This organization went from being completely confused about their tools to really understanding and embracing them and enjoying them. And all of a sudden the CRM wasn't a dirty word any longer. All right. Next up is talking about remote employee management. So just to ask you guys a quick question. How would you rate your employee management today now that you're working remotely? Have you seen any changes? And if so, if you just put that in the chat pane, that'd be great. Changes or challenges, should I say?
I know we've definitely seen some changes over the last few weeks, and we've gone to some people even saying that they enjoy working remotely even more because they find themselves more productive. They obviously miss the office interactions and all that stuff, but there's a lot less interrupted time when you're working from home.
Yeah, that is true. So we've got the next slide we've got showing here is, what employees and employers both really need to be doing when working remotely. But I can say that I think having everyone remote now and looking at the office and thinking about it, and I think many businesses are going to think about this. Do we need the amount of office space that we have, or are we going to have a different environment? Will we get a smaller space where maybe we come together collaboratively once or twice a week as opposed to 5 days a week? It'll be interesting to see the trends that come out of this. But really what employees need to keep in mind is to check in frequently, make sure that you have a productive workspace. So many times people are working from the desk in their bedroom, or they're working from their dining room table, but really making sure that they have a space that's comfortable. The other day I'm watching somebody working from their dining room table and I'm thinking, oh, ergonomically, that doesn't look very comfortable. So, about 3 weeks from now, we're going to have neck injuries, but get a comfortable space and encourage them, whatever they need. I've even said, come on into the office, grab some chairs if you need them, bring home your monitors, whatever you need, but it's got to be a workable, comfortable space for them. And employees need to be accountable too. They have to understand that we're not going to be asking a lot of questions to be big brother. We just can't see what's going on. So we really do have to make sure that we are trusting and verifying that everything's getting done. From an employer perspective, we have to make sure that we keep engaging. Important, defining an IT strategy. So what happens if somebody's sitting at home and their laptop all of a sudden bugs out and their video recorder isn't working, or something's going wrong with their technology? So it was important before we left the office that we put a policy in place, that we had someone they could go to. And you may have a remote resource. You might have IT support companies that you go to. I'm sure they're pretty busy right now, but that's something you have to think about with remote, because these problems crop up and there's nobody to turn to and say, hey, I can't see my screen any longer. And making a remote work policy, we quickly deployed that through our HR department with the help of our HR resources through our payroll company, Horizon. And they help us put a policy together very quickly, because we deal with different things, especially as employers, that we have to maintain the safety of our equipment and also our intellectual property. So we want to make sure that everything is safe and secure. And again, both parties have to be responsive and available, very organized, push yourself to network. That's a big one. Make sure you're not becoming, a little hermit in your house, and use a lot of these collaboration tools. So it is really a crossover for both sides to be able to, hold themselves accountable for keeping to these rules, so to speak, during this time of working so remotely and being apart from one another. We found that keeping the team engaged has been kind of fun. We have done a couple of different things. There's some software called, House Party, I think it is, where you can play games remotely. We were always big to go and do Trivia Tuesday every Tuesday at lunchtime. Well, we can't do that any longer, so we do virtual trivia as a team. We have a ping pong table in the office. We used to just go play ping pong. Can't do that any longer. So we're kind of a group that enjoys games. So we've gone and done some virtual games. We've done some fun things just through our streams, like, show your pet day. So everybody's home and they're holding up their cat or their dog. We've had a lot of fun, and you have to have a little bit of fun when you're working in these silos. So keeping things social, keeping things upbeat and happy has really been a nice sidebar to all of this. And we have to be, as the team leaders, as the managers, as company owners, we have to create these ideas. We can't expect the employees to say, hey, we should be doing this. We have to come up with some fun schemes and keep everybody engaged, and really lead with joy right now. Even if you're a company of one, I spoke to a lady earlier today, and she's the only person in her company, and she's been having a tough time. And I reached out to her because I was thinking about her, and she said, yeah, I've kind of closed myself off a little. And I'm like, get on a webinar every day, talk to other people. Even if you get out there and you have a book club, just make sure that you're communicating and you're keeping your brain fresh and you're getting new ideas from other people. Even just sitting on this little webinar today, just getting new ideas and hearing what other people are doing. It keeps you active, it keeps you energetic. Some other things that, you know, companies have done that we've kind of heard the past couple of weeks is creating collaborative playlists. Again, I had mentioned about doing games, having a sports day, or having some kind of a day where you dress up, you put on crazy glasses, whatever the heck you might do, or share funny YouTube videos. That's another one. And I had mentioned about the Introduce Your Pet Day. By the way, this is a fact. Pet adoption has gone through the roof. So I think there's going to be a need for pet sitters after we get through this. I was laughing the other day, like, yeah, I was a pet sitter a long time ago. I might go back to my original career. Oh, okay. So we talked about employees. Next, we're going to be talking about client management, because that's really another big topic. You know, our clients are going through what we're going through. We want to make sure that we keep them top of mind. So some of the things we've been doing with our clients lately has been establishing expectations on how to work best. So we're doing a lot of Zoom meetings like everybody else, and making it very easy for them to communicate with us. And as I had mentioned, you need to understand how your employees like to communicate. You have to understand how your clients like to communicate. I have some who will pick up the phone and call my cell phone whenever they want to, and that's fine. They need to do that. Others who love Zoom, some don't like Zoom. Some of them prefer emails. So understanding where to meet them and how to help them right now has been really important for us, and it's been actually very enjoyable. Be willing to adapt to get through it together. We have several clients who are going to be doing trade shows, and trade shows have come to a screeching halt. So we said, okay, if you can't go to the trade show, we're going to bring the trade show to you. And we started to launch a series of webinars for them so they could get with some of their high target clients and high target prospects, and really have some interactive educational webinars. So that's been a lot of fun. So you have to continue to be reassuring, be a person, again, not an email address. I know we're all getting a lot of blanket emails like right now, you know, due to COVID-19, blah, blah, blah. Pick up the phone, see how they're doing. Even if you pick up the phone and call three or four colleagues a day and clients, let them hear your voice and you hear their voice. It's very comforting. And again, leveraging all of the technology that we've spoken about today to break down barriers and to make it easy for them to communicate and feel comfortable with you and what you're providing to them right now. So just a quick recap. We've kind of stepped through an awful lot today. So the tools that we've talked about is, again, project management, making it easy to collaborate, CRMs, communicating through video, through instant messaging, and through cell phones, and strategies, helping your remote employees, employee engagement being so important, effectively working from home, and keeping those client relationships very strong at this point in time. So lots to talk about. I would love at this point to just pause for a moment and take any questions that we might have, because we went through that pretty rapidly and there was a lot of content in there.
Yeah, I think we actually had some come in throughout March, so I'm going to go back to a couple that we had.
Sure.
And this one came in towards the beginning when we were talking about all the collaboration tools. Are you concerned about Google and Microsoft scraping off data so that you do not intend to share? So, you know, how are we keeping our data safe, and, you know, when you're using all these collaboration tools?
Yeah. I can't speak to Google. I can speak to Microsoft. I feel that with our Microsoft instance being 365, we all have secure logons, secure passwords. We change our passwords all the time. And I'm feeling pretty, I'm feeling very comfortable that our data is secure. Now, I do have to say, when we go out to a Zoom or a Slack or what have you, maybe not. And I know they're buttoning down their tools as well right now and adding more security measures in there. But we have to be very, very cautious, all companies do, about making sure that information is not out there. But to be realistic about it, hackers are out there, and we know that they're attacking more than ever right now because of all of this going on. So we have to be very cautious and conscientious about any tool that we're using, and that really is a good point. These tools are all great, but we have to be very, very careful how we're using them and making sure that we're putting security measures in place, using passwords, using IDs in order to get into meetings and any shared content.
All right, we have another one too. Have you done any work with Keep Pro or ClickFunnels? What are your thoughts or success tips with campaigns and customer success in those environments? The tech can be overwhelming for a small business.
Yes, it can. And what were the two things you mentioned, Bridget, if you could repeat?
Keep Pro or ClickFunnels. I personally have not heard of those, but.
I haven't either. Are those CRM programs? If you could just put that in the chat pane. I will do the following. Make sure you let me know who you are, and I will do some research for you on both of those tools and get back in touch. Now, with regards to it can be overwhelming, yes, it can. And there is so much out there, and depending on the size of your company, it really can. Now, Acadia is, we're relatively small. We are a 12-person company right now. A little smaller than we were a few weeks ago, I am sorry to say that. But you have to look at it in a very phased, structured manner. So oftentimes what I'll do and what I highly recommend is you sit down with a piece of paper and you say, okay, what is not really working right now? And you're going to look at this maybe in terms of departments. So I'm just going to pick sales right now. What's not working right now? Ultimately, what would I want it to look like? And what are the steps to get me there? And is this a priority? So you almost do a mini gap analysis. Another thing I might refer to is something called an Eisenhower matrix, which is this important and urgent, or important, not urgent? And be able to quantify what you need to attack first and put a plan in place, because you're not going to do it all, especially if you're a small company. But put a project plan in place, and who's going to do it, and who's going to be responsible to help me. Because if you're the owner, you're going to be up at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out how to use the CRM, and that might not be the best use of your time. You need to be doing other things. But if you would like to have another conversation, I'd be happy to sit with you and chat for an hour about maybe what you're dealing with and offer some suggestions to you.
I took some notes on that too, and we'll follow up with her. All right, we have a couple more questions. Do you expect the transition back to the office? You touched on this a little bit about what you're talking about for Acadia, but do you expect people to want to work from home more, and what other impacts on business culture do you see?
Yeah. And I was on the phone the other day with a client, and one of my employees said, well, I've gotten really used to working at home. And the client said, I don't think he's coming back to the office, Marge. I chuckled. I personally see that there is going to be a shift. My opinion is, if you can work remotely, and we have the ability, we're blessed to have the ability to work remotely, that people are going to want to work from home more often, because they're going to turn around and say, well, I did it effectively for like 8 weeks. Why do I need to come back in? Culturally, it's going to have its effect too. Now, again, we were a strong, small group, and we get along, and we did a lot of things together as a group prior to this remote situation. And I think we will still do that, and we're continuing to do it throughout. If you didn't have that culture of connecting, start doing it now. I would say it's very important to make sure that everybody does stay connected in some way. One of my clients told me just last week, they do wind down Fridays. So at 4 o'clock, everybody shuts their work down and they get a beverage of their choice, and they sit and they talk about what they're going to do over the weekend and their kids and what have you. But that's kind of the culture of that company. They're pretty close knit. But I think it could be a struggle. especially for organizations that are a little bit larger, to be able to have that connection. And the only way that they're going to be able to keep that culture is to break it down into teams and their smaller units and keep those activities going. Some of these, I think there's going to be new roles that come into play in some organizations, and it might be, you know, culture people who are keeping these remote people interacting with one another, because you can lose it very, very quickly, especially in a large organization. But yeah, I do see changes coming. I really do. And it's, yeah, it is going to change the face of many organizations. It will change the face of Acadia. I know that for sure. We will all be in here 5 days a week. Bridget, you didn't hear me say that.
Don't tell a soul. I think the employees on the webinar right now listening, but they didn't. All right, so we have one last question, I think. If there are any others, feel free to add them to the panel. But what do you do if you see a drop in employee productivity while we're all working remotely?
Yeah, so had that happen last week, and I'm like, because we have our dashboards, and through one of our CRM dashboards, I could see there was some activity was dropping off. And I picked up the phone and I said, hey, you okay? And she said, yeah, I'm doing fine. And so I just started asking some questions, and I realized what happened was maybe a little bit of blues, you know, not feeling real good right now. Part of it was she lost her process, and she follows a process very, very well, but got a little bit lost and then didn't quite realize it. And after our conversation, got right back on track again. And I know it's difficult to, and I've seen this in many, many years of having remote workers, if people have children at home, that exacerbates the whole thing. You know, kids they're trying to do their schoolwork right now, or maybe you have children that aren't even in school, and productivity goes way down. The key is to find out why the productivity is going down, and asking some questions. Just take the boss hat off and just say one-on-one, what's going on? And try to help them solve that problem, because it probably has nothing to do with work. It has to do with their husband and their kids all being in the house with them, or maybe grandma's ill, or maybe something else is going on, and then trying to help them work through a solution. And it might be, you know what, you got to close your door for 3 hours in the afternoon, and you know, Gracie needs to know that she's got to stay with dad or what have you, and help them try to figure out how they can make adjustments in their personal life. Because right now, working remote is even harder because your whole family is home with you. It's not just you being home. The kids aren't going out to school. So getting to the root cause in a very empathetic way can really help. And even just having that conversation, it's just a weight off their shoulders, because they might not want to say to you, you do not understand. My kid is pulling on my shoe every 5 minutes. They might not want to tell you that. But if they get it out in the open and you can help them with a workaround, it helps tremendously.
Great. I think that is the last question we had. So with that, I want to thank you all for your time. Thanks, Marge, for the presentation.